What is the most disturbing fact you know? 30 of people reported missing, and found dead, were killed by the person reporting them missing. Doc here. A lot of people know when they are about to die, even if they don't know why. Just instinctual, they even say it very calmly and knowingly, "I'm gonna die." Or something similar. And then they code. Or? They say they have to go to the bathroom. Then code. I am dead serious. When gas was introduced into common households during the Industrial Revolutions, people started paying more attention to what they put on their walls, now that they were lit up. They began decorating more, and wallpaper became a much more important part of the modern home. At the time, green was a very popular color, as it had never really been an option to decorate with that color before. However, the green color was obtained with arsenic, as white paints were often obtained through a lead product. After a while, wear and tear made it so that people literally started breathing in bits of their arsenic wallpapers, and feeling bad within their homes. Their doctors would then suggest they go on holiday to the sea, as the ocean air often had proven a successful remedy. But of course, it was a remedy simply because they were no longer breathing in arsenic. The companies that made these wallpapers were well aware of their nefarious effects, but it took people boycotting en masse for them to actually stop production, several decades later. That Munmora power plant in Australia was allowed to operate for decades with a significant diesel leak in an underground reservoir that contaminated the water table. When demolishing the plant, you could light the sand that surrounded the tank on fire about 50 meters each way, and if you dug lower than the sea level anywhere within I guess about a 1 kilometer radius, you could smell diesel. It's a high fishing surfing area. That was far from the only contaminant. Fuzz, phos, chromium, etc. People live very close to it. People eat the fish for years from the hot water outlet. Was a super popular secret fishing spot. Also, during the demolition there was lots of contaminated water collected. This was sent through a filtration process and pumped into the ocean. It had multiple sediment filters and a water-oil separator. I do not believe it was adequate filtration before it was sent back into the sea. No one seems to know. I only know because I was part of the demo crew that brought it to ground. Makes me wonder how many heavy industrial entities got to do who knows what and get away with it. One of the more recent things I learned about is the Paria diving disaster, where 4 divers got sucked up into an underwater pipe and 3 of them got stuck in there. The company decided to wait until they were dead instead of doing a rescue operation because money. They said they heard banging for 3 days until it finally stopped. Not a fun way to go, inside a dark pipe alone, cold and scared. Damn, may those souls rest in peace. Australians' greatest enemy isn't spider, drop bears, killer roos, massive insects, or devil snakes, it's the sun. Australia has the highest skin cancer rate in the world, and an Australian is 4 times more likely to develop skin cancer than any other type of cancer, and 2/3 of Australians would be diagnosed with it by the time they reach the age of 70. If you are properly skinned alive, you can survive upwards of an hour and will die from hypothermia, not blood loss. Mummies weren't that rare until the Victorian British ate so many of them. A vitamin D deficiency can make you suicidal, and deficiencies among adults is very common. Like more than 50% of the population in the US. When you're burning to death, your eyes melt out of your head before you die. So you're still alive while your eyes are melting. There's decent evidence that the Challenger astronauts didn't die when the vehicle broke apart. They may have even been conscious and alert inside the crew compartment all the way to the surface of the ocean, which was like a 2.5-minute fall. It's possible they were knocked out, but it's possible they weren't. A rare medication reaction called Stevens-Johnson syndrome can cause your skin to blister and eventually peel off, similar to a 3rd-degree burn victim. It's a horrible drug reaction and has a very high mortality rate. It can be caused by almost any medication, including ones you have already taken before and had no prior reaction to. The most common medications that cause it are antibiotics and anti-epileptic medications. Do not the Google pics unless you are not sensitive to medical trauma pics, they are extremely disturbing. I was a social worker. I saw a lot. The first 3 weeks, we were in a classroom doing intensive training. Every day, someone would walk out. It wasn't out of being rude, it's because each person has a point at which they cannot go any further. They showed us some of the worst. The deal is, they do it for very good reason. If we are so horrified that we refuse to learn about the abuse, how will we recognize it in one of our kids? That's what I ask of all adults. Please, if you see something, don't assume it's impossible so you can push it out of your mind. A whole lot is possible. When whales and dolphins get too old, they just drown. We don't know the effects of microplastics on the human body, partially because we can't find a control group. There's a very concerning number of nuclear warheads that are unaccounted for. The fact that the couple down the street from me with 3 kids are not husband and wife. They are in fact brother and sister. Yes, I know it for fact, I went to grammar school with them. Only 20 of the males born in the Soviet Union in 1923 survived World War II. A lot of people in nursing homes will die shortly after family leaves. I've had funeral directors tell me this is very accurate. Both my parents did. We were there, left for the night, and while gone, they died. It's like they don't want to expire in front of anyone. The youngest person to give birth was 5 years old. British serial killer Rose West nearly got away with it when her husband partner Fred killed himself in prison, until an earlier jail sentence gave him a clear alibi for when Rose murdered her stepdaughter Charmaine. And British spree killer Barry Williams almost went on a second killing spree because the British police forgot they were meant to keep an eye on him. The number 1 cause of death for pregnant women is domestic violence. People have sex in rivers where I am from. River water here in the Amazon is dark, black, so they are opaque. Sometimes if you see 2 people standing or sitting behind each other, there is a good chance they are having sex. You ever use bleach without gloves, and it gets kinda slimy? That slime isn't the bleach. It's your skin melting. Greater than half the population of the USA reads at or below 4th grade level. If it wasn't for your stomach lining, your stomach would eat you from the inside out. The majority of adults who sexually abuse children aren't even pedophiles. They're just opportunistic and or get off on the power trip. As in, they're not even particularly into kids, they just do it because they can.